Hello, 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 and welcome to another PDH Pals deck tech. This is Sniffhow from the PDH Pals, and I've got an exciting one for you today. This is one of my first decks, Daru Warchief. You look at him, he's kind of self-explanatory. 4 mana, soldier spells cost 1 less to cast, and he gives all soldiers, including himself, +1, +2. So it's a pretty scary deck when it gets off, and I have this gone through a lot of different changes over the years. Like I said, it was my first deck. I originally built it like 5 years ago, I think, and I just put in every good value soldier there is, and it worked. It definitely does its job. It kills people. It gets quick games, and like I said, it does its job quite well. But I've refined it over the years quite a bit, and I've dropped the converted mana cost quite low on it, and I've built it so the main goal of this deck is to get him out on turn 3. I'm this close to putting Lotus Petal, but we're not there yet. But this deck's pretty consistent at getting him out turn 3. So let's just go ahead and jump into the ramp of the deck. Where did I put it? Right here. Because you want him out turn 3, so that way on turn 4 you can drop like 3 or 4 soldiers that turn. I think the most I've dropped on one turn was 5 maybe, but that was with Plane Chase, so that doesn't count. But let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I have a Noble Templar here. This is a 6 mana soldier, but like I said, we're not really going to try and cast him for 6 mana, because hopefully the player you want dead is going to be dead by that point, or you've grinded out long enough where you can cast it. If you do cast it, it's not the end of the world. It's technically 5 mana, 4/8. But like I said, you don't want to cast them. You're usually just going to plane cycle them away. Because you're white, you don't have draw. You want the most important thing about this deck is getting Daru Warchief out consistently. And he's one of the ways to help you do that. Wayfarers, great drop at turn 1, great drop at turn 2. Just a good card. If you drop at turn 1, he's definitely coming out turn 3 though, for sure. Fractured Power Stone, Star Compass, and Prismatic Lens. All the same thing, 2 mana rocks. They're all built to help get him out as early as possible. They don't really do anything. This one filters mana, it's not important. This one comes in tapped, whatever. Turn 3 is an important one, turn 2 doesn't matter. And this one rerolls the planar die. Doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, it's always funny to see someone spend all their mana and then roll this at the end. It's always cheeky. I've got some more Guardian Idol and Mind Stone. And this empty spot right here, I have not bought one yet, but when I do, it's going to be an Arcane Signet. And the cut for that is just going to be a land. So I'm going to cut a land and put an Arcane Signet in. But more 2 mana rocks. Like I said, turn 3 is an important turn in this deck, so we're all about that. Guardian Idol is cool because you can just activate it later on. It's not a soldier, but it's whatever. Mind Stone is great because it draws a card. And those are all the rocks in this deck. This deck does not run 3 mana rocks. It doesn't even run Commander Sphere. I cut that originally. Turn 3 is, you want something else on turn 3. You don't want him. You don't want a rock. We also got the best one in the deck, Valley Rash Banneret. Kithkin and soldier spells cost 1 less to cast. You drop that turn 2, he's definitely coming out turn 3, and he's immediately turning into a 3/3, and you can swing that turn easily. Pretty self-explanatory. This is the best one though, because it reduces all soldiers even more. If you have these both out in the field, soldier costs 2 less to cast, which is insane, and you can get some nasty turns with that. But it doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it's very sweet to happen. Let's just go ahead and jump into protection spells. Get the boring parts out of the way, then we can jump into soldiers. We have Ephemerate. This one's kind of sweet. There's some soldiers that do something when they enter, but normally I think you're just going to want to cast it on your general, because the big thing is you want to keep your general alive as long as possible. The longer he's alive, the more damage everyone takes, the more damage you deal, and it's just a better time for you. The more soldiers you can reduce their casting. Emergent Scathe. This one's cool because it protects Daru that turn, and then your upkeep you can cast it again, and like let's just say give one of your beefy soldiers like Pro Green or Pro Blue, so they can just swing in there, unblockable pretty much essentially. So Emergent Scathe is a sweet one. Probably one of the better protection spells of the deck. Apostle's Blessing. This one's also sweet. Target artifact, it doesn't matter, or creature gets a protection from artifacts or the color of your choice. a good one. It's only 1 mana because you're usually getting paid 2 life to protect something. I don't know. I like it. It's probably a cut if a better protection spell comes along, or if I find a better one, but I don't know. For now, it's pretty great. Dawn Charm. Dawn Charm is usually going to be casted to counter like a fireball that goes at you or something, or even a fog. But in this deck, I feel like I always cast it more for the regenerate target creature, because regenerating Daru is insane. Like, I mean, countering a fireball, okay, that's good. But this deck usually wants to win before any red deck gets enough mana to fireball, or any other deck can outrace you. I don't think there are, unless like a deck specifically goes for it on like turn 1 or 2, I don't think any deck is going to be able to outrace Daru once he gets going. Because like turn 4 is just a world of hurt. But we got some more protection. We have Crown of Awe and Pentarch Ward. They're both sweet. They're both the artifacts, I think, or enchantments, sorry. I think there's the only 2 enchantments in the deck. For protection wise, I think there's like one more for a pumping spell later on. I'll get into that. Crown of Awe is sweet, gives protection from black and red. Pentarch Ward is it's only 1 color, but it also draws a card, which is very big in this deck. But this one's sweet because the other ability, you can sack it and give whatever creature this is, all the creatures of that type get the protection as well. So you can sack it and give all your creatures pull black and red, which is huge because this deck kind of loses the Pestilence, which is why these are in here, which is why the other protection spells are in here too. Because Pestilence just sort of wipes your board, and you know, it's no fun to play against. But giving them all pro black is really, really sweet. Yeah, that's all pretty self-explanatory. Let's go ahead. I only have 2 exile artifact or enchantment, a Forsake the Worldly, and a Patrician Scorn. These are the only enchantment removals I'm running. I probably should be running more, but hopefully, like I said before, I'm trying to outrace like the player who's playing black spells the most. Like if they show that they have a Pestilence, like they transmute for it, like that's who I'm focusing the rest of the game, or until they drop it, they draw it or don't play it for me. I don't know. Kind of a political deck because you have a huge army at your disposal and say, who do you want me to kill? And normally they'll lead you in the wrong direction, so you swing at them instead. But I don't know. Sometimes you're going to help out the board. But Patrician Scorn is sweet because there's so few enchantments in this deck that it's good to just blow them all up. Because sometimes there are a lot of enchantments on the board. Sometimes there's not as many. That's why Forsake the World is good. Cycle it away. I probably should be running Last Kiss or whatever it is from Eldraine. The one that also draws a card for 1 mana more. But this deck is all about trying to stay as low to the ground as possible. Like, you don't want big mana costs. This one's in here because it's instant speed and has 0 mana cost if you play a white spell. It isn't hard. You saw a bunch of protection spells that are all 1 or less. This one's 3 mana. It's instant exiles. I don't know. I kind of like Forsake the World. It's one of my favorites because I'm a huge fan of cycling. Let's go ahead and jump into... Yeah, let's just go ahead. I only have one mana soldier in this deck. I did have Elite Soldier in the 1 mana 2/1, and it was very good, but I didn't get the reduction and spell cost, so we kind of took it out because I'm a little spoiled. But it is a 1 mana 3/3. I also realized I'm not running the Changeling, the 1 colorless 1/1 Changeling, which would be a 0 mana 2/3 for free. But I'm not running it. I probably should be. But Thriving Spectre is in the deck because it investigates. One of the good soldiers. It's 1 mana 2/4. It investigates. Investigates huge because white has no draw, so you need as much as you can. But I might end up cutting this for that Universal Automaton. I think that's what it's called. I might end up cutting it for that. I'm not too sure yet. Let's go ahead and jump into some 2 mana ones. Silver Flame Squire. This one's pretty sweet. On Alert is instant speed. Target creature gets +2/+2 and untaps it. Usually, I mean, that one's good to cast. Don't get me wrong. You want to cast that sometimes. Let's say someone lightning bolts something and just cast it in response to protect them. You get a big swing, make it a bigger swing. But it's also just a 2 mana 2/2, which in this deck is a 1 mana 3/3. But I mean, it's sweet. I like it. I also love the art. That's why it's in the deck. I think this is the only non-soldier in the deck. Crashing Drawbridge. There might be one more, but I'm pretty sure this is it. Now that I'm looking at this pile. But this one's sweet because if you land him turn 2, you are off to the races, man. If you land him turn 2, then on turn 3 you land in general, and on turn 4 you can just drop all your soldiers and then give him haste. Like, oof. God, I love Crashing Drawbridge so much. It's such a nasty card, man. Open Freeblade. This is probably one of the better soldiers in the deck. 2/2 Vigilance, or I'm sorry, 3/4 Vigilance for 1 mana. And if it does end up hitting somebody, which it usually does, it gets Renowned, which is just another counter on it. Just another free value play. Boom. Just makes itself bigger, which is huge in this deck. Core Scarfisher. It's another great one because it has flying. Return a permanent to your hand. You're usually just going to bounce a land. This deck doesn't draw too much, and as a result of that, it doesn't have too many land drops. So bouncing a land you control is okay, especially because it's only 1 mana, with your general out, of course. But flying's huge. Flying is one of the better synergies in the deck. Skyblader Legion. He's not that good, but he is a 1 mana 2/5 flyer, which is huge. And he gets in there for damage all the time. I don't know. I like him a lot. He's huge. I can't keep stating how good flying is in this deck. You'll see later. Fencing Ace. This one's sweet. It was originally an uncommon, but it got downshifted to a common. I don't have too many like ways to pump it, but you'll see I have enough where it's relevant. And like this thing can get big, huge, can get scary real quick. Like if there's an instant speed trick, like that Silver Flame we were just talking about, like that's pretty good. That's a lot of damage coming in quick. And he also ends up being only 1 mana, so it's not the end of the world if you cast him. And Imposter the Sixth Bride. This one is absolutely huge. The 1 mana 4/3. I mean, a lot of these cards, there's not much to say about them, but besides the fact that they're good, which is all this deck cares about. Like, if you can get the soldiers down quickly, you're good to go. We're just gonna work with that. Oh man! All right, here we go. That's good. But Imposter's sweet. I like it a lot. I don't really ever draw it too often, but I'm excited to. Another one I'm really excited for, which is one I just put in from Theros, Beyond Death, Hero of the Pride. Whenever you cast a spell that targets him, all my creatures get +1/+0, which is pretty relevant. Let's say later on in the game I cast some protection spells on him that I'm still holding in hand, like an Apostle's Blessing or whatnot. That means all the soldiers are getting huge, and if there's a way I can do it multiple times a turn, you know I will. And he's good. I like him a lot. He's a sweet one. I haven't played him yet. I just put him in. I could jump into the 3 drops next, but I think I'm going to skip ahead to the 5 drops just because there's so few of them. Yeah, let's go into the 5 drops. Squad Captain. I'm on the fence about this one. This one is huge. If you get a nice turn setup going, like 5 mana, 2/2 Vigilance, and it gets a counter for each other creature I control. Like, this deck is pretty good at getting a lot of creatures on the field pretty quickly too. So it has potential to be like massive, and then it gets pumped by your general and reduced cost too. So I mean, it's just a great card, but 5 mana is a lot. Like the 5 mana spells have to be really good, and I only have 4 of them in the deck. So let's just go ahead and show you. Shuli Companions. This one's sweet because it's a 4 mana 4/5 Horsemanship. Horsemanship is essentially unblockable because no one in this format runs it except for soldiers. His soldiers are good. I mean, maybe you'll run into it once in 1,000 games, and it's only if someone put it in just to mess with you. But I highly doubt you're ever going to run into Horsemanship in a typical game of PDH because most people don't like running it because a lot of the Horsemanship cards are bad. But this one's good because, you know, the reduction in cost from your general is huge. And like unblockable is just so good. Another 5-drop though. There's another 5-drop as well. Sky Spear Cavalry. 5 mana, 2/2 flying double strike. Like I said before, flying is huge in the deck. Double strike's really good in the deck if you get like a nice big pump turn going. And I don't know, it's huge. I think I've cast it once, but normally the 5-drops have to be really impactful, and this one is because double strike is just huge on its own, especially even better when you play your general. Locks it in Partisan. Like I said before, this is another 5-drop. This is a very, very powerful one. Technically a 4 mana 4/6 battle cry. So when he attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. So with these two out on the field, your soldiers are getting +2/+2 when he attacks. Like that's disgusting, man. Eventually, if you have enough like pumps like this, like you get to the point where even Daru can start swinging. But normally you just want to leave him back because he says 1/1 here, but he counts himself, so he's a 2/3. But you know, turns into a 3/3 with this swing. But normally you don't want to do it too much. But he is relevant to swing with later on. Yeah, let's go ahead and go into the go wide. We've got a lot of soldiers that go wide. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Raise the alarm. 2 mana, instant speed. Put 2 1/1 soldiers into play. It does not get the cost reduction, but these are 2/3s that come into play. So that's huge. Same thing over here. Omen of the Sun. The new one from Theros. Just put it in. Excited to play with it. But this is a 3 mana flash. Put 2/3s into play, and then you gain 2 life. And then later on, you can just sack it and scry. Like, this card is disgusting for soldiers. I am very happy they added it. See here, Sworn Companions. This is another great one. This is sorcery speed, so it's a little worse, but it's still good. These ones have lifelink, which is relevant. Lifelink has been relevant. This is like the only one in lifelink in the deck, but I swear it's ended like 2 games where I gained like 2 life originally, and it was relevant because of this, or relevant at the end of the game, which is nasty to think about. But I don't know, it's a sweet card. We got another one, Sergeant of Arms from Dominaria. This is just, I mean, if you don't kick it, it's a 2 mana, 3/5, sorry. But if you do kick it, he gets himself and then 2 soldiers along with him. Like, that's pretty good, man. Like, for that value, paying 5 mana for 3 bodies, they all get pumped. You really can't beat that. Except you can beat it because in Modern Horizons they printed this, a regular cohort. This is a 3 mana 3/4 that when it enters the battlefield it makes another 3/4. That's pretty disgusting. Especially if you like ephemerate that. Like, you're just getting so many creatures. This card's insane. I love everything about it. I think it's pretty much good enough to go in every white deck. But in this one in particular, it's very good. It shows its luster quite often. Let's go ahead. We got some more pumps. Captain's Call, not pumps, I'm sorry. Go wides. Captain's Call, 4 mana, put 3 1/1s on the battlefield. That's disgusting. Very, very powerful stuff. Sends Enlistment, 4 mana, put 2 1/1s on the battlefield, and you retrace it. So if you just keep drawing lands like I do, go ahead and just discard them and get some more. Get some more soldiers. Get some more beaters down. Pretty good. Recruit the Worthy, another Modern Horizons card. This is 4 mana, instant speed to make a 1/1 soldier. It's not as good as Sprout Swarm, but nothing is, so it's not a fair comparison. But this card is sick. This card is awesome, and I haven't drawn it once, I don't think, but I'm very excited to draw it. I found another 5 mana one actually, Lieutenants of the Guard. This one's awesome. When he enters the battlefield, each player votes for strength and numbers, and for each strength vote he gets, you get a counter on him. For each, I'm sorry. I don't know. I did right. And for each numbers vote, you get another soldier. Normally, you're going to vote for soldiers, and everyone else is going to put counters on them because they really don't want you to have that many soldiers. But I mean, even still, he's only 4 mana, makes another creature, and he's huge too. Assuming it's a 4-player game and they all vote for counters on him. Sometimes someone's nice and gives you another soldier, but normally it's not going to happen. So we got all those go wides. Let's go ahead and get into some pumps. We got the butt pump team right here. Luma Third Field, Veteran Armor, and Veteran Armorsmith. These give all creatures give +0/+0. Sorry, +0/+1. This is a 2/3, which is huge. This is a 2/2, and this is an enchantment that I can't really interact with. Besides, all the enchantment removal, but you gotta fight it. Better they blow up this than, a Pentarch Ward or something on your general. But these all help them against Pestilence a little bit. If you have all 3 of these out, like, that's a lot. All 3 of these and your commander, like, all your soldiers get +5 butt, which is disgusting. That is nasty stuff. Doesn't really happen too often because it's white, like I said before, and mono white can't draw as well. But even having just one of these is worth it. And we got the best one of the deck, Veteran Armorsmith. This is a 2 mana, 4/4, and other soldiers I control get +1/+0. That's nasty. Obviously, you've seen all the soldiers so far that can really take advantage of that. And I mean, this card's just sick. This card's good enough for a lot of decks, I feel like. Especially good in Blaze Commando. Alright, so we got the go wides, we got the pumps. Let's go ahead and jump into some nice... Let's go ahead and jump into some nice pumps. Whitestone, one of the best pumpers in the game. It's a 4-mana artifact, you just throw it on the battlefield, forget about it. All attacking creatures get +1/+0, like... God, man, it's so nasty. Just looking at these pump spells, I'm getting excited. I really want to ram into this deck again. I haven't played it in a while. Sky Shaper. This one's sweet. Kind of a endgame kill spell. Let's say someone doesn't have any flying, or they've only got like one flying creature. Like you just go ahead and just give all your creatures flying and just swing right into them. Like that's nasty. Obviously you don't want to sack it too early. But just hold on to it. Play for 2 mana, forget about it. And later on in the game it'll be relevant. We got 2 of the same guy right here. Both 4 mana. Civic Stalwart and Empyrean Tactician. They both do the same thing. They're both the same stats. Like this is two white mana, but it's not the big end of the world. You're normally gonna have white mana for it. But these are both 3 mana 4/5s, and they give all your creatures +1/+1. So flickering these is good. I mean, just even casting them just for 1 turn is good because they're already well costed, I feel like. But I mean, I don't know. These are good if you've played a nice bunch of go wides and then you cast them, pattern your board up, and then you tap Crashing Drawbridge, of course, and then swing in. Of course, I mean, if we're in the perfect world here. Speaking of perfect world, Silver Flame Ritual. Card sweet. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and if you cast it for Adamant, which is not hard to do at all, they get Vigilance. Vigilance is okay. I've sort of resigned myself into this deck to be not as vigilant as it used to be. I used to have like every single Vigilance in this deck, but I kind of took them out. There's still like 4 or 5 maybe, I'm not too sure of the numbers. But this one's sweet. Putting a counter on something permanently is huge. And I don't know, I'm a huge fan of it. I think I've cast it once and it's very good. Guardian's Pledge and Kythion's Tactics. They're both 3 mana. This one is white creatures I control get +2/+2, and that's it. It's instant speed though, which is huge. And Kythion's Tactics is creatures I control get +2/+1, which is a little worse, but and it's sorcery shape, which is a lot worse. But I have Spell Mastery, which I kind of usually do. I feel like they get Vigilance, which is huge. Vigilance is great in this deck. I mean, like I said before, that's how I used to have it built. But I eventually changed away from it because I don't care about taking life total damage anymore. I'll resign myself to it. People just swing this deck anyway. They're scared of it. They want it off the board. These 2 are gone. One of the better ones in the deck, Rock's Veteran. Another Battle Cry. This one's cheaper. Modern Horizons is a great card. 3 mana, 3/6 Battle Cry. And when he attacks, tap target creature down. I'm like, that's huge, man. There's some more tappers we'll get into. But this guy in particular is nasty stuff. Because it's just tap their biggest creature, tap their important creature. And like your boys are just getting in there even more. That's like all the pump I got. Let's just go ahead and keep it rolling because he's 4 mana. Let's jump into some more 4 mana. Palace Sentinels. Nothing like the Monarch. Mono white needs it the most. This deck is very good at getting it back too. Not as good as holding it as it used to be. But it's very easy to get it back. So, I mean, they'll draw a card, but you drawing cards is more important. You want to end this game quicker, and the more soldiers you have to drop every turn is a good way for it. Haven Cloud Chaser. Card sweet. 3 mana, 3/4 flyer. When it enters battlefield, destroy target enchantment. It's just another way to kill Pestilence. I mean, it's also well costed too. Like, I think if there was one that did artifacts, I would run it. Or Sanctifiers, I think, is a cleric. It does suck. Because I wish I could run that one. But that destroys artifact or enchantment if you kick it. But this one's sweet. It's pretty well costed. I like it a lot. Raven Sentry. This guy's awesome. When another creature I control dies, he gets transformed. So he comes in as a 2/2 Vigilance. But he gets transformed into Raven Militia. A 5/4 Trample. Like, pretty huge. Huge fan of this card. Normally people kill it before it transforms because they'd rather deal with a 2/2 obviously than a fucking 6/6. because the other side is a soldier as well. Here we got another horsemanship. This one's cheaper and a little weaker, but like this one is vigilance. It's the same basic premise, like it's unblockable. You're gonna get your monarch back. You're gonna get in there for damage. Go ahead and steal a site if we're playing the island. Like, I don't know, this is nasty stuff. Man, you know what I want to see? I want to see this deck get Hannah, the Vanguard. Make your spells cost even less. That way you can drop them off turn 2, and then in turn 3 you can drop like 4 soldiers, man. Damn, now I'm excited. Ballynock Trapper. This was a sweet one. It's not really a beatdown one, but it's very good at what it does. Tap something down, play a white spell and tap it. Tap something down, play a white spell. It's really good at just completely tapping out someone's board in one turn, and then swinging out, letting all your soldiers deal with them. Card's pretty great. It's a Kithkin also. It doesn't matter. I used to have a card in this deck that mattered for Kithkins, but I took it out. It was like a 1/1 pump. If you control Kithkin, draw a card. But I think I have like 6 or 7 Kithkins in here, and I don't really draw them well enough to make that card worth it. Alright, so that's all the 4 drops. Let's go ahead and get into 3 drops. I have more 3 drops than anything else. Let's start off with my favorite 3 drop. Martyr's Soul. This card is nasty. 3 mana, Convoke. When you enter the battlefield, if you control no tap lands, put 2 counters on it. It is very, very easy to cast this guy for free, essentially. Let's say turn 3, you have your general out. So he's already costing 2 less. You tap a rock, you convoke your general. There you go. He's essentially a 0 mana he's essentially a 0 mana 6/5, which is absolutely disgusting. Like, that's the value play you want, because they have to get rid of him eventually, as he's just going to do some serious work. Speaking of doing serious work, Court Street Denizen, same thing pretty much as Ballynock Trapper, but this one's a little better because with all the go wide strategies I mentioned earlier, like, you can stack the triggers so you can tap their whole board with like one of these. Like, you send the Listman twice in a turn, like their whole, that's 4 creatures getting tapped, which is pretty nasty stuff. This card's sweet. It's usually another kill on sight target. This guy's sweet as well. 3 mana, 2/1, First Strike Vigilance. He's just a 2 mana 3/3 First Strike Vigilance. That's all you need to worry about him. He's probably one of the better well-costed ones in the deck. Speaking of well-costed, Ballynock Trapper, another First Strike, and as long as I control another white creature, he gets +1/+1. So, I mean, he's basically a 4/5 if I have my general out. So 2 mana 4/5 First Strike is pretty well costed, I would say. Seems fair. For Hookmaster, this one's cool. Just taps 1 creature, then it doesn't untap on their turn. So essentially gives you like 2 free swings, I would say. It's very mean to do this on a Humble Defector, but hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see here, Blade Instructor. This one's cool. Mentor, it's kind of weak. It's 2 mana 4/3, but it does get a counter on something eventually if it does swing and survive. And if it swings and survives, actually, you get 2 swings with it, which is huge. Normally, you're gonna want to put it on your general or another soldier that can take the counter easily. But you want to put the general on so he doesn't die to a lightning bolt or something. If you get your general's butt big enough, like, he's usually gonna be protected for the game, unless someone throws a kill spell at him. Steadfast Sentry. This one's cool. Got Vigilance. He's a 3/2 right off the bat. Like, that's huge. But when he dies, he also gets a counter on something. That's cool. I like him. From M20, probably one of the better soldiers printed recently, I would say. For like cost-wise, obviously. Because even without your general, he's a 3/2, 3 mana Vigilance, which is awesome. Makeshift Battalion. When this and 2 other creatures attack, it gets a counter on it, which is cool. You're almost always going to have enough creatures that trigger I think that's Raid, whatever that ability is called, when you swing with 3 creatures, essentially. But this one's sweet. Like the same thing, 3/2. That's good stuff. Kithkin Zephyronaut. Has Kinship, which is a little interesting, but this Kinship kind of screws me every now and then. I think there's like 30-something soldiers in this deck, or 30 or 40 soldiers in this deck, I'm not too sure. But at the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card, and if it shares a creature type, which is Soldier, he gets +2/+2, flying and Vigilance until end of turn. So, I mean, if he does trigger, he is a 2-mana, 5/6 flying vigilance. Like, that's huge. But he doesn't trigger too often. But, I mean, even still, he turns into a well-costed creature if you have your Generat. But, I don't know. I like him a lot. I'm really hesitant on taking him out because I feel like the one turn he does pull his weight is when he pulls his weight hard. Huge fan of him. Probably the best soldier in the deck, as John says, the best red creature in draft or in cube. Porcelain Legionnaire. This is a 1-mana, 4/3 first strike. That's pretty good, man. Obviously with the Generat, but otherwise he's 3-mana, 3/1 first strike. Not the best, but you can pay 2 life. Like I said, I don't mind paying life. Get it out of the way. Get it on the battlefield as quick as you can, because he's gonna beat some face real quick. He's gonna beat it hard too. I love him. Huge fan of him. Well, that is all the soldiers and spells in this deck. So let's just go ahead and jump into lands and finish this video up. There are 26 planes in the deck. I run snow covereds and basic ones, but there's no snow covered payoff in the deck. But the basic ones are Grand Prix lands. I went there the other day with the pals. Other year. I just want to go back, bros. Snow covered planes also. The only reason they're in here is because I had enough to run both of them. So I was like, all right, cool, sweet, I'll do that. So that's all the basics. Only 26 basics. And non-basics, the most important one of the deck, remote farm. Depletion counter 1. It's only in here to get him out turn 3. That's it. Play this turn 1, play a rock turn 2, and on turn 3 you have him out. It's so easy. You don't even need to play a rock, you just play another land. Huge fan of remote farm. This is the only cycled land in this deck. Like I said, there aren't too many tap lands in this deck because you just want... There are only 5, it looks like. You just want him out as efficiently as possible. And this one also cycles for 1, which is fine. I probably should put the other cycle lands in, but like the risk of not having them out early is pretty huge. So that's the reason I don't. And I just love how this old board looks. Idyllic Grange. I just put this one in because I feel like I have enough planes where I can trigger it easily. It is kind of cool ability. Put a counter on something you control. Not bad at all. Pretty easy to trigger, I feel like. That's why it's in. I haven't tried it out yet, but Jury Step, sorry. When it's center battlefield, target creature gets protection. So pretty much at the end of the game, if you still have this in your hand, you can give one of your creatures like a pro. It's another way to give them like unblockable, essentially. Give this pro blue, swing in there. Or let's say someone like put a counter. Someone put like how was it? Reprobation, so it loses all abilities, so your soldiers don't get any buff anymore. Go ahead and give it pro white, so boom, then it comes back. Gets rid of the enchantment on there. This card's cool. I like it. Probably one of the better ETB tap lands. But there you go. Kabir Crossroads. Fine. It probably should just be cut for another plane, to be honest. But whatever. Against life, it's okay. Not bad. This is Path of Ancestry. Whenever you cast a creature that shares a type with your commander, then you can go ahead and scry one. Use it with this land, obviously, which is pretty huge for white, mono white, especially because there's only one non-soldier in the deck, which is Crashing Drawbridge, I believe we talked about. So scrying every turn is very good. I don't know. I thought I bought a regular one a while back. Oh well. Cool card. It's getting reprinted in Commander 20, so it's exciting stuff. Cave of Temptation. This one's I just wanted to try it out because I feel like it could be relevant late game one of these days. Cool stuff. 5 mana essentially, because 4 mana end the land. Sack it. Put two counters on a creature you control. I really hate that it's sorcery speed. I wish this was instant speed, but I'm just being spoiled. It's a very good card. Like I said, I think I've drawn it once. I think I've drawn it twice and activated it once. That's what it was. But I don't know. I'm excited to see it activated more. Oba Palace. This is a great card just because, I mean, you're usually not going to be swinging to commander, but any amount of counters on your commander just to help him grow bigger is relevant. Normally 1 extra land tapping is fine. Well, that is Daru Warchief. Like I said, this is one of my favorite decks. I love playing it. I love when other people play it too, because they're like, wow, this deck gets some crazy starts. And you are damn right it does, man. This deck is very scary if you leave it alone. If you leave this alone for like a turn, and you've let him build up his board, you better have like a Pestilence or Swirling Sandstorm or something, man. Which reminds me, as you probably noticed, this deck does not have Tormods or Relic, because this deck is all about going balls to the wall, end of the game quicker than they can combo off. And I feel like it's pretty good at that fact. Obviously, you know, again, some combo players, like, they're just going to have counter spells and whatnot to prevent you from ever casting them. But if you can get them out quick enough, you can get some beats in quick enough, and that's all that's important. Well, I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. We have plenty more lined up for you, but if you have any questions about this deck, comments about this deck, or if we just want to ignore this deck and go into decks you want to see get a deck tech, go ahead and ask us in the comments. If you comment something, we are 99% going to respond back. So just go ahead and let us know how you feel, because we got time on our hands. This COVID's kind of hurting everybody, so we figure we just help out deck techs every day. You know, if you want to see something in particular, just let us know. I hope you have a good day. I hope you stay safe, and see you next game.